Hi there. If you like to hike but your legs are beginning to feel a bit stiff, then maybe this is the perfect yin yoga set of poses for you. What we'll do today is we're going to target your hips, your quadriceps, the back side of your legs here, the hamstrings, the inner side of your groins, everything to make us feel that little bit more frisky while we're on the beaten track, let's say. So the first pose we're going to do is what's called half butterfly. And half butterfly is perfect for, again, your lower back, the inside of your hips on this leg, and the leg on here with your hamstring. So this is the way you do half butterfly. From a sitting position, slide your left leg, in this case, down. Bring your right leg to where you like, either to your knee or maybe a little bit further up. And now I'm in this position, I can slowly but surely bend down and forward. And that's all it is. Now this position is super because what I'm doing directly is I can feel I'm stretching out my calf muscles. And as you as a walker knows, that's going to give me an awful lot of relief. Into the knee, you can see my knee is actually off the floor. So the hamstring muscle here is slowly but surely going to relax down bit by bit. And I've come over, I've tilted forward, so I'm putting pressure here on the vertebrae of my lower back to release those too. If we look at the bent leg, then I'm stretching out the groin muscle here. I'm stretching out up to the knee from outside the groin, stretching down to my ankle. And I'm also feeling it gluteus muscles. And I'm coming down to the gluteus muscles in my bottom. So all I'm going to do is stay in this position for 3 minutes-ish. I can count that either on using an iPad or I can count that using my watch. And I'm just ticking away there. We've already been 1 minute or plus 1 minute on this side. So again, I'm feeling what's called a release. I'm slowly but surely and gently coming down bit by bit. I can feel it here releasing. I can feel my hamstrings releasing. I can feel my calf muscle releasing. I feel the back of my spine releasing. And to continue in the theme, slowly but surely, millimeter per millimeter, this leg is beginning to come down more and more and more. Super pose. It's a pose I would say, even if you're not walking, do this every single day because it's going to stretch out the whole of one side of your body here. It's going to stretch out your groin. It's really nice. And if you're like me and you watch too much TV and the advertisements come on in the middle of the football or in your favorite series or whatever else you're watching, just jump on the floor and then try this exercise. So let's say I've done my 3 minutes on this side. I can just easily push my way up. I can bring this leg down so I have my legs together. And then just as what's called a counter pose to actually counter what we've just been doing, I simply can go down onto my shoulders and I'm looking at my feet and I can take them one way or the other, one way and the other. Then when I'm ready, I can just push myself back up again and I can do the other leg. So I push out the right leg, bring in the left leg, and here's interesting, if I bring it round about my knee, then I'm going to stretch out more in the hamstring. If I want to stretch more in the groin, then I can pull my leg further up. And I notice when I do this, I feel a slight twinge here. It's not painful, but I can feel I'm putting stress on my left knee, which is where I've been having problems previously, but not now. So that brings me into the 3 things about yin yoga and what we should be doing. The first is find your edge. If you think about Goldilocks, if you're from the UK, then Goldilocks and the 3 bears. What was not too little, what was not too much? And with this pose, we're just trying to find that edge of not too little, not too much. And this, for me, is there. My leg now is more or less parallel to the floor. I've still got a bit of room under my knee, but it doesn't matter. This knee, slowly but surely, I notice that I'm tighter on one side than the other. and I can feel it. And when I come forward, that's about as good as I can do. I can just hold on to my calf here and I'm fine. And while most of us are staying in that position, let's have a look at two ways if you're feeling that uncomfortable. One is that you can take a block, and if you sit on the block, then as you raise yourself up, then it's easier for me to come further down. So I can push more pressure on my spine. I can release my spine and release the lumbar vertebrae, the muscles at the bottom of my back, so much easier. If I don't think that's comfortable enough, then fine. Take a nice blanket and do the same. So fold your blanket, sit onto it nicely, and again, I've raised myself that little bit, and anyway, it's more comfortable, which means I can stay here for longer time, which is number 2. Try to stay in the pose for about 3 minutes. Each side 3 minutes, because then you'll release what's called myofascial release. You're releasing slowly but surely the tendons, the ligaments, the bone muscles where they connect, the fascia. So hold for 3 minutes. And the last one about yin yoga is, although I've been moving around, is to try to stay still. Okay, find stillness, because if I start to move around, then I'm losing the traction in the pose, and I want to stay in the pose. And already I can feel how much more mobile I am. Think when you've been walking how much better that is. So the second pose I'm going to do is called Bananasana, which I think is a lovely pose. And Bananasana is simply all about stretching one side of your body all the way out. So if I'm lying here on my back, on my mat, and then I'm going to if I'm going to stretch out, for instance, the left side, I'm going to bring my left bottom further to my mat. I'm going to bring right foot out, left foot out. And then I'm already feeling a stretch all the way here. If I want to continue with that stretch, then I can bring my arms behind me, grab hold of my left wrist with my right hand and pull. And finally, if I want to, I cross my left foot over my right foot. So here I've got a whole circle, if you like, all the way down. I'm stretching from my triceps, which don't really affect your walking, but the rib cage, the so-called intercostal muscles between each rib, I'm stretching. And again, if you're walking, you want to be able to breathe nice and deeply. I'm stretching here as well, the side muscles, and then I'm particularly stretching this muscle here, or this tendon here, sorry, the iliotibial band that starts around about here and goes all the way down. And if you're banging and banging and banging on the floor, what's going to happen is these are going to get shorter. And when it gets shorter, you're putting pain on the knee here. So-called runner's knee. But of course, if you're walking or hiking, you're going to get the same thing. Continuing down, you're putting a little bit of stress both sides of the knee, so you're opening up that too. It's a very, very pleasant way of stretching one side of your body. Bananasana. And remember, find your edge. That's about mine. Find stillness. Find the time. And when you're ready with one side of Bananasana, just release your arm. Come back down under your feet. If you like, push your feet into the mat. Stabilize your body, so again, it's in one straight line. And what's nice here is to actually just push up into a glute bridge. So lift your vertebrae one by one by one. Just lift them up and then slowly bring them down. Do this 2 or 3 times. So lift up the vertebrae, slowly bring them down. Lift up the vertebrae, slowly bring them down. And then you go on to the other side. So again, bottom over to the right. You don't need a mat to do any of this yoga. You can do whatever you like. A blanket is fine. leg over to the left, other leg, cross it if you want to, fine if you don't want to. And then bring up your right arm, grab that right wrist with your left arm and pull. And again, now I'm in Bananasana, having a really nice, comfortable time. And again, over time, I can feel that particularly here, the side of my body, the side down my leg, is slowly but surely just pushing outwards. And again, just stay here for 2 to 3 minutes. If it is that you have a problem with, let's say, one of your arms and you can't bring your arm over your head, it's not an issue. Just bring your arms just by your side and you're still keeping the stretch, particularly down the legs, down the hip, the side of the hip, which is where you want to be stretching after a day on the fells, let's be honest with you. A really, really nice pose. The way to time these poses is very simple. Just use your watch, your smartwatch, or your iPad, or your telephone, and just put the timer on for 2 to 3 minutes. And again, when you're ready, maybe just unfold one leg. You had your arms up, just bring your arms by your side. Use your hands maybe to straighten yourself out. And a nice counter pose here is to grab hold of one knee and pull while your other leg is straight. Bring this left knee up, grab hold of it, take down the right knee. Right knee up, grab hold of it, take down the left. Left knee up, right knee down. Let's do one more each side. Right up, left down. Left up, right down. And then maybe just a nice little massage either side. Before we come over to one side and just push up into sitting. And the last pose we're going to do is what's called sleeping swan. And the whole point of sleeping swan, again, is to really take out the IT band and give yourself a nice stretch along there. So there are 2 ways to show sleeping swan. I'll show one side each side. So the first one is from what's called a tabletop position, where I have my hands over my shoulders, my hips over my knees. I'm just going to push my toes in, go up to what's called downward dog, and then let's do right foot first. So I'm going to bring my right foot in front of me, and then push my right knee down, and there I have, let me do it the other way around actually so you can see better. So, left knee up, here, I've got these muscles here again in my gluteus that I'm stretching, and to make it more comfortable for me, I simply go down to sleep. And directly I can feel sleeping swan here in the glutes, I feel it here in the knee. I can also feel it here in the, if I do it the other way around, I feel it here in the hip flexors. So 3 really good reasons to be doing sleeping swan. Back to the first side. If you like, take a blanket to rest your arms and your head on. Or the same, you can use a bolster. So again, resting your head on the bolster. A super, super, super good way of stretching out all these muscles around your legs and your hips after a hard day on the hills, let's say. And then when your 3 minutes is up, there are 2 ways out. Actually, push your back foot in, bring your hands up so you have support, and using your back foot, push yourself back into downward dog. And here you can so-called take your dog for a walk. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just use your hips, just use your ankles to come back to tread. And when you're ready, just go into the other side. But if you're having a problem with Sleeping Swan, for whatever reason you find it uncomfortable, you can't really bring your leg around so much, then another way of doing it is called figure of 4. So we've just done the left side, so let's look what we can do with figure of 4 pose. So coming down on my mat, I can, if I want to, I can use a blanket to make myself nice and comfortable. And then I have my feet flat on the floor. This is the area I want to target, so I just bring my foot over here. Let me do this so you can see. So I bring my foot over here, and then I can do one of several things. I can just pull, which is quite comfortable, and I can feel it here in the glute muscles directly. I can lift up, so I can go right behind my leg, and I can point this toe right up. Or I can even grab hold of my shin, and that puts even more pressure here, where I'm trying to stretch out the glutes, the IT band, all the way. Try and keep your head on a pillow, or not on a pillow, sorry, on a blanket, but try and keep yourself nice and relaxed. When you've done your 3 minutes there, whether you're in downward dog or whether you're in figure of 4 pose, come back down, maybe stretch your arms out, and from here just drop your knees together, and that's fine, that's called TP, and again you're putting this inward stress, inward rotation rather than outward rotation, and then go from one side maybe down and up, down, up. These are called window wipers. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Let's say you've done 3 or 4 or 5 of those, and then when you're ready, just drop your legs to, in this case, my right side. I come over to my right side. Relax here for a few breaths. And push up using my hand. And I'm coming back to where I started from. So, have a good stretch and see you back on the hiking on the hills. Have a good time.